just told us 10 seconds ago there's this huge system, a big party, one guy, and then you're like, oh no, but everyone supports him. 0 votes against him. One person out of 3,000 couldn't say, Xi Jinping, not my guy. One.
What if he is the guy for all the Communist Party of China? You
What
never
if?
know.
喐下大我㗎咋？咁相信大家都知道咁最近喺網上面就有一段嘅訪談節目啊，哇就真係笑多多都埋。咁就係中國智庫副主任高志海近日就喺英國嗰度接受半島電視台嘅節目訪問。咁大家都知道㗎啦，一班咁嘅中國智庫都係喺度做啲中國嘅大外宣，向大家説好中國故事。咁所以我可以預期嘅就係呢一個嘅節目裏邊啊，佢哋一般都就只會不斷咁講：我們堅定不移要支持一個中國啊，中國第一，世界第二，台灣是我們的，香港是我們的，澳門也是我們的，世界也是我們的。咁之但係你又點會估到？點會諗到？當一位中國智庫不斷説好中國故事嘅時候，一個嘅節目裏邊嘅主持人啊，就係咁拎一啲嘅數據出嚟，然後大巴咁樣車落一位中國智庫塊面嗰度。咁所以就搞到一位中國智庫就頻頻出醜，又無力還手，甚至係表現到成隻狗咁樣啊！我睇到我咧就真係。
做乜高手真？
咁我咁啊，就等同大家分享一下一段嘅訪談節目。咁之但係由於一段嘅訪談節目裏邊實在有太多嘅精華，咁所以今次呢一段影片咧，咁啊可能會長些少。咁之但係希望大家都能夠睇晒佢啦。咁你就會睇到呢一位中國智庫究竟點樣頻出醜啦，當中又有幾咁搞笑，同埋就係點樣説好真正嘅中國故事啦。
咁好啦，咁喺呢一條片開始之前咧，如果你中意條片嘅，俾我 like、share、comment、subscribe 我 channel， 又或者可以加我嘅會員頻道支持我㗎。如果你想了解多啲，亦不妨可以 follow 我嘅 Facebook， 又或者係 IG。咁好啦，咁事不宜遲，我哋而家即刻開始。
China, in 2024, the defense spending is going up by 7%, the most for 5 years. You've had 29 consecutive years of military expenditure growth, the most of any country in the world. Since 2022, China has increased military drills around Taiwan. It's escalated since the new Taiwanese president was inaugurated in May. China is not a fan of him. Since then, there's been almost daily activity involving China's warships, drones, cyber attacks against Taiwan. China is getting ready to invade Taiwan, isn't it?
There is only one China. Taiwan is part of China, and the government of the People's Republic of China is the sole legitimate government for the totality of China. The exact status between the two sides of the Taiwan Strait is the unfinished civil war back in 1949. So, ever since the beginning of the 1980s, okay, China does not want to use a war to solve this unification problem.
You don't want to use a war, but you're surrounding it with ships, drones, cyber attacks, and making lots of threats.
Each time when the separatists in Taiwan want to push the edge of the envelope, they will come across more and more demonstration of the commitment of the Chinese nation to eventually achieve peaceful reunification or otherwise.
Your defense minister said anyone who dares to pursue independence for Taiwan will be crushed into pieces and face destruction. Sounds like a truly peaceful guy.
That's a real statement.
Huh?
咁其實個主持人擺到明係諷刺緊你㗎啦。喺一方面你又話要和平統一，另一方面你又要嗰班台灣人粉身碎骨。喂，咁你都真係幾和平下喎。咁最搞笑嘅就係一位中國智庫仲喺度答人哋話：係啊，份聲明係咁㗎。救命啊！喂，好心你哋中國政府唔好拍埋一啲弱智去同人哋講嘢得唔得啊？又係你哋話㗎嘛，台灣係屬於中國嘅，咁所以無論台灣人係啲乜嘢政治立場都好，咁佢都係台灣人，亦即係你哋眼中嘅中國人嚟嘅喎。咁如果你哋依家因為台灣人嘅政治立場同你唔同，而你話要殺佢啊要佢粉身碎骨嘅話，喂，咁同殺自己人又有啲乜嘢分別啊？大佬啊，即係到底你明唔明人哋串緊你啲乜嘢㗎？
If the separatists really want to push the edge of the envelope with the aid of some big country, for example, which wants to use Taiwan as a proxy in its own geopolitical rivalry against China, then wait until you see what will happen. Wait until you see what will happen.
喂，睇下呢個，睇呢個，睇嗰個，喂，睇嗰個。
Reunification will be achieved, and China is the only permanent member of the United Nations Security Council which has not yet achieved a complete reunification.
I'm always amused with this phrase reunification, because if it's one China, then clearly it's not one China. Clearly you're accepting by definition if you need to reunify it. They are doing their own thing. And why this obsession with Taiwan? You are a country of 3.7 million square miles, a population 60 times that of Taiwan, economy 20 times the size of Taiwan. Why are you obsessed with Taiwan? Why not just leave them be?
In terms of defending China's sovereignty and territorial integrity, any inch of land is not 1 inch too much. Any one single person is not one person too many.
咁更何況你一度都講啦，每一個人都唔係多餘噶嘛。咁既然係咁嘅話，點解你又要針對嗰一班所謂嘅台獨，又或者同你政見唔一樣嘅台灣人喊打喊殺啦？咁佢哋係多餘㗎。咁如果唔係咁嘅話，點解你又要佢哋粉身碎骨啊？
So we need to achieve reunification as
Even though they don't want to be part of your country. 12% of the people of Taiwan say they want to reunify with China. 12%. You can't get more unpopular than that in that.
Mehdi, it's not up to the people in Taiwan to decide about the one China policy.
You're very blunt in your disregard for people's views, freedoms, dignity. You say you don't care about what they think. You also said in an interview with the French newspaper Le Monde, once we get the island back, we'll have to ask everyone's origins. Those who have Japanese ancestry, who you basically say can constitute 10% of the population, will have to pledge loyalty to reunification in writing, otherwise we'll have to help them leave. You're basically calling for the ethnic cleansing of 2.3 million people in Taiwan.
If you really do your homework, you will realize that those die-hard Taiwanese separatists include many of these Japanese
Completely baseless
Chinese.
claims, but okay. But you would get rid of them. You would get rid of 2.3 million people.
No, after the reunification, everyone in Taiwan need to make a pledge whether they acknowledge there is only one China and Taiwan is part of China.
And if they don't make that pledge, they're out.
Those who pledge for the one China policy, they are local
By the way, you didn't
citizens.
say everyone. You said of Japanese descent. That is literally ethnic. You're picking people by their ethnic heritage, making them do a loyalty test. Otherwise, they have to get out of the country they've
It
lived
is
in
not a
for
loyalty
decades.
test.
你頭先都講咗啦，即係要承認中國又或者一個中國原則嘅人先係本地居民啊嘛。咁唔承認嗰啲咪唔係本地居民咯，咪即係踢走人咯，解釋咁多講經咩？咁所以咁多位台灣人睇住啦，中國係從來都唔會當你哋係自己人，係從來都唔會啊！佢哋永遠就只係見到台灣對佢有利用價值，所以先美其名以和平統一去侵略台灣嘅咋。咁對於嗰班到依家都仲認為即係中國係會當台灣一家人嘅嗰班台灣人啊，好心嘅睇下一段影片啦，自己反省下啦，一家人
呃你錢揾你笨就有份。
Here, for example, in Britain, if you are a British citizen, you need to support the monarchy. You cannot say,
I'm standing in Britain. I don't support the monarchy. I don't like King Charles.
No, you cannot say. No.
I just said it.
Mehdi,
I literally just said it.
you cannot take any action to oppose the monarchy system.
But I don't have to sign a pledge saying I support King Charles.
Well, each country is different.
Yeah,
We are talking
I can
about
assure you,
China.
China is very
and
different.
喂，等下先，即係既然每一個國家唔同啊，咁你就咪舉英國做例子嚟對講你一樣嘢啦，係咪呀？黐線嘅，又係你自己攞英國去做例子，咁人哋依家咪用行動去證明俾你睇，佢根本就唔需要忠於國家，又或者忠於個君主咯。由始至終係你哋先要咁樣做啫嘛，你哋要忠於習近平噶嘛。咁同埋得罪啲咁講句啊，即係其實英國一直以嚟啊都有討論廢除君主制，特別係年輕嘅一族啊，都係反對嘅比較多。而一啲咁嘅資料民調，基本上你上網求其打就有啦。咁之但係你作為中國嘅智庫，居然連呢一啲咁嘅資料搜集都冇做，甚至乎你連一個 sense 都冇，就認為英國人一定唔可以反對一個君主制嘅，大佬啊，係智庫定係智障啊？呢一個人。
Let's talk human rights, Victor. You've called Uyghurs in China's Xinjiang province your brothers and sisters. How do you feel about the fact that at least 500,000, some say more, of your brothers and sisters are being detained in camps by the Chinese government? That's 5% of the adult Uyghur population, one of the highest imprisonment detention rates in the world.
Mehdi, the Uyghurs are a proud ethnic group, one of the 56 ethnic nationalities in China. The Uyghurs, as far as I'm concerned, are my true brothers and sisters. I know many of them. I travel to Xinjiang regularly, and I talk to many of the Uyghurs. Now, if anyone is serious about accusing China of practicing mass injustice to the Uyghurs, give me the evidence. I
Just
think
did Human Rights Watch say 500,000 people detained over the years in recent years.
you keep quote Human Rights Watch, and I tell you...
Do you know where they got those numbers from?
I don't know.
Can I tell you?
I don't know.
I thought you were the expert. You've been to
do not know.
Xinjiang. You've spoken to Uyghurs. You never heard these numbers?
I do not know where did they get the source.
So
of
their
the
source is the
quotation.
Xinjiang High People's Procuratorate, which has published its own statistics, Xinjiang official body, which says it's convicted 540,826 people prosecuted in the region since 2017. The United Nations Office for Human Rights looked at satellite footage. They say 10 to 20% of the population. Amnesty estimates 1 million people in camps. 500,000 is a conservative number.
Mehdi, if you quote that organization, please be assured that that organization has been completely discredited for the false information they...
你仆街啊你！你唔好走啊你啊！你買定棺材啊你！
I love this game we're playing. You give me a source, I give you a source. They're discredited. They've said falsehoods.
Mehdi,
How can we?
one
Let me
thing-
ask you a question. How many people are in detention in Xinjiang? You give me a number.
Listen, if you look
I'm
at
listening.
Xinjiang...
You give me a number.
If you look at... I do not have the number.
Why not?
Yeah.
Hold on. You can't say it's not 500,000 and then say you don't have a number. I have a number. I have sources. How many people do you think are detained?
Let me give you my reason.
No.
I go to Xinjiang a lot. I traveled almost
So they're your brothers and
throughout
sisters.
Xinjiang.
You go there a lot, but you
Yes.
can't tell me how many people are in detention.
Listen, they are happier. They enjoy their life. They enjoy their Muslim practices and traditions. Listen,
How many people are in detention, Victor?
Mehdi, let me be philosophical.
No, don't be philosophical. Be numerical.
係啊，真係好好笑啊！喂，點解無啦啦講下講下會變咗討論咗哲學㗎？咩事啊？
Let me finish my point.
Nope.
If
You answer the
anyone-
question. You
if-
can't filibuster, Victor, on the
If
show.
anyone
How many
promotes
people do you
Xinjiang
think...
independence, they will be dealt with in
Got it.
law.
How many of them are in court? How many in detention?
The very small minority. The very small minority.
咁咪即係有啦！
You say they're all happy, but you won't let in independent investigators. You won't let in journalists to
Why
go
not?
there.
Why not?
They're not allowed to
will
go
be,
there.
I will be happy to escort you to Xinjiang.
Really?
I can make that promise.
Really?
I will speak to the Chinese government.
Here's the problem
to
with
the Chinese
I don't want
embassy.
to escort. I don't want minders. I want to go freely. Will you allow that?
I do not make that decision.
Oh! A moment ago, you were going to make all sorts of interruptions. Suddenly I said, let me go freely and speak to Uyghurs freely. Can I do that with no minders?
I'll be
No
happy.
Chinese government escort.
I will be happy to make your case.
Oh, just now you said you'd organise it. Now we're back. Make a case.
Make
you
a
can't
case.
guarantee.
咁其實你一度都承認咗啦，即係原來新疆就真係唔俾一啲獨立嘅記者或者外國記者走入去採訪，甚至乎你最戇鳩鳩咁講到話要請示上頭嘅指示啊，咁你先可以安排一位嘅主持人，咁咪即係間接承認咗你哋身有屎啦！即係如果新疆真係冇一位記者、一位主持人所講嘅嗰啲事啊，咁你哋又點會進行嚴格嘅監控啊？係咪啊？
你死你唔去死啊你啊！
Rayhan Assad is a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, international human rights lawyer. You are a Uyghur who Victor says, brothers and sisters. Your literal brother has been held in an internment camp in Xinjiang since 2016, I believe.
Yeah, my brother Akbar Assad is a prominent tech entrepreneur. In fact, your own media outlet called him a bright star in the tech world. Right before his detention, he was invited on a state gala dinner, and then he disappeared. How could you explain that?
Mehdi, again, in China, we have about 20 Muslim ethnic groups. You need to ask one question. Why the extremism existed mostly among...
我哎呀，老闆嚟話你真係，你唔好再煩我，我一定要懟死你。
Rayhan,
That's the real truth.
Hold on.
Talk to the Kazakhs, they don't support...
Has your brother been
Xinjiang
convicted of a
separatism.
crime?
According to UN, there's no trial has taken place. He just forcibly disappeared. Actually, it amounts to enforced disappearance. But according to the Chinese government, he committed a crime of inciting ethnic discrimination while he is systematically oppressed. And when I challenged that decision, because under the Chinese law, if you're committed with the alleged crime, that you have 3 years sentence, but he got 15 years. How do you justify that? Then they switched the crime. So how do you even explain this is a rule of law system? You mentioned that if people are not pro-independent, then they're fine in Xinjiang. My brother by no means is pro-independent. In fact, your media outlet, sees daily media, invited him to exchange information Did he split the country when he visited Beijing?
Are you okay
then?
with the treatment of her brother?
In front of this very august body, let me make several very brief points. The real crime involved by some of the Uyghur people are agitating for Xinjiang independence. They violate the One China policy.
哦，哇！咁依家算唔算係承認真係有維吾爾族嘅人士係被打壓啊？
They're being tortured. Numerous testimonies the UN has collected. Are you okay with that?
Mehdi, when you talk about torture, think about Guantanamo Bay prisons.
Oh my word.
Rather than in Xinjiang. Xinjiang is a place of great peace and stability.
The
Rather
accounts,
than
hold on,
as a
Victor, the
separate
accounts of
country.
detainees include being beaten with batons, electric batons, while strapped in a so-called tiger chair. 158 being subjected to interrogation with water poured on their faces, prolonged solitary confinement, forced to sit motionless on stools for long periods like this. You're okay with this? This is the proud China?
Maybe, probably you are reading the case in Iraq committed by the American
No,
soldiers.
I'm reading the UN report in August 2022 from detainees who came out of camps in Xinjiang. Your brothers and sisters, but these brothers and sisters you don't seem to give a damn about. How do you know any torture happened in Iraq, out of interest?
I know.
How?
I know for sure.
How?
I talked to the Iraqi ambassador in Beijing.
Okay.
He wept in front of me.
And I'm sure Rehan's parents have wept.
哎呀，救命啦！哎呀，喂，大佬啊，唔好成日講啲笑話得人笑得唔得啊？喂，等我仲以為佢會提出啲乜嘢嘅證據證明伊拉克嘅戰爭真係存在一啲咁嘅問題。點知原來佢咧，佢資料來源係嚟自一個伊拉克嘅駐華大使嘅喊啊，唔係啩？
攞你命3千！西馬道單車鏈、火藥、硫酸、毒藥、手槍、手榴彈。
Here you have Rishi Sunak, the former Prime Minister, was called a pint-sized loser by a Labour politician. No one in China has that kind of freedom to talk about their government, to talk about President Xi Jinping in that way. You can't say anything like that. You wouldn't dare say anything like that because you know what will happen to you when you go home. You know what will happen to your family. That's what China is.
Mehdi, if you do anything, write anything, email or chat to your friends about taking any action against, let's say, Prime Minister of Britain,
That's not what I
President
said.
of the United States,
I didn't say that.
you'll be dealt with
That's not
very
what I said.
swiftly.
Victor, you're a master of
In
straw man.
China,
That's not what I said. I said Rishi Sunak was called a pint-sized loser. Would you call Xi Jinping a pint-sized loser?
咁人哋咪示範咗咯，一個主持人頭先咪鬧英國前首相都冇問題啊，咁你又喺度話乜嘢又舉英國做例子係咪啊？喂，好心你就唔好成日攞英國做例子啦，你又唔熟又唔知頭唔知路咁樣，咁然後依家咪俾個主持人大巴咁車落你塊面嗰一度咯，仲話咩中國智庫喎，成個小粉紅咁樣，冇讀過書咁樣嘅。
Mehdi, each country has different sensitivities in UK.
So you're admitting you can't criticize the Chinese government?
No. You can criticize the government if you are positive in your attitude.
You can criticize the government if you're positive.
Yes.
Is that the new philosophy?
No, if you can come up with your...
You've got to come up with nice insults?
No.
What then?
Constructive advice.
Constructive advice.
For example,
oh, I'm loving
in
this.
dealing with the aging population, what should be the government do? What should this governor should do?
But you can't say the president's lied. He's a liar.
No, it will be dealt with very swiftly in China.
咁咪係咯，一早咁認咪得咯，係咪啊？你而家咪承認咗喺中國係唔可以隨便咁樣批評領導人，甚至乎你要批評嘅，你都就只能夠講好嘅一面，唔能夠講差嘅一面。咁仲講咩言論自由啊？拜日照啊你！
So I'll ask again tonight: is he now president for life, a true dictator?
For the record, first of all, Chinese President Xi Jinping will never be president for life.
再清楚啲講多次。
Listen to me. No single person in China can dictate to a population of 1.4 billion people.
家生，你兜爛太成位窒頭窒勢，冇大冇細，雙方手指對手指公啊！
點會冇可能啫？你唔好話中國添啦！自從習近平上任9年咋，就已經為中國同埋全世界指明超過250個嘅方向啦，又為股票市場嘅未來發展指明方向，為民營經濟指明方向，中國未來互聯網發展指明方向，為教育改革指明方向，為中國青年指明方向，為香港未來發展指明方向，為世界經濟指明方向，甚至係佢啊，仲犀利到係為維護世界和平指明方向啦！
可以維護世界和平。可以咩話？可以維護世界和平。
你去邊啊？
我去殲滅銀河系5大行星嘅侵略者。
Let's test that proposition. The president won a vote last year. Won a vote. I'll put that in air quotes. Do you know the tally of last year's presidential vote in favor of Xi Jinping by the National People's Congress, part of that structure you just advertised to us? What was the vote? Can you tell our audience here?
I think it's up to about 100%. That doesn't.
2,952 to 0.
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
Could you not find a few people just to make it look a little even? One or two?
Mehdi, it's
Five?
not surprising. It's not surprising.
2,952 to 0.
It's
That's one-man rule, my friend.
In the Chinese system, everyone supports the Chinese president.
You just told us 10 seconds ago there's this huge system, a big party, one guy, and then you're like, oh no, but everyone supports him. 0 votes against him. One person out of 3,000 couldn't say, Xi Jinping, not my guy. One.
What if he is the guy for all the Communist Party of China? You
What
never
if?
know.
Well,
Never know.
if that's the case, then your entire first answer is redundant because it doesn't matter if there's 100 million people. They all have to follow the leader.
No, he does command huge respect among the Chinese people as well as
You say
in the ruling
respect, I
party.
say fear. Do you know how many names were on the ballot papers that were given in 2013? How many names were on the ballot paper when they went to choose the president? Can you tell our audience?
I think there is only one candidate.
哎呀，中國佢唔係獨裁政權嚟㗎，有候選人㗎。我咁知，但係得一個候選人俾你揀咯。
There were no other names. That's a real secure leader. A guy who knows he has the confidence of his people. You get to vote, but only for me, and none of you can actually vote against me.
Mehdi, we do not want to end up in a situation with 6 prime ministers in 80 years.
Yeah. So you prefer a dictatorship?
No, we prefer a system that works for the benefit of the Chinese people.
I've not said a word about what works or not. You got great economic growth.
Look at the
But you're a dictatorship.
There is no dictatorship, Mehdi.
You just
Do you
admitted
want me to,
that there's no name on the ballot paper, no votes against him, and they all just follow him. That's a dictatorship.
When the king succeeds the queen,
Yes.
how many candidates are there on the ballot paper?
How many?
Does that make Britain not a democracy?
Well, you're asking the wrong guy. I'm a Republican, so I think we should be a full democracy and get rid of the monarchy. And I can say that here. You can't say that in China.
You cannot take any action against it.
Yes, I can. I can then go out on the street. I can hold up a placard and say, let's get rid of King Charles. I can create a whole protest outside Buckingham Palace. You can't do that in China. You can't even put one other person's name on a ballot paper. That's how insecure your leader is.
Monster kill!
大佬啊，喂佢又嚟啦，做乜嘢啊？佢又攞英國做例子，然之後俾人大巴車去個塊面嗰度啊，係咪啊？想點樣啊？咁更何況就話一位中國智庫又喺度偷換概念啦。喂，老實講句，君主立憲制係啊，係有個君主啊，咁之但係其實佢實際上係冇太多嘅政治權力，主要都係由民選政府掌權㗎。咁所以英國嘅君主立憲制係君主還君主，政府還政府咁樣㗎。阿智庫，咁之但係反觀你哋中國嘅獨裁管治係完全唔同㗎，你哋係由一個人話事，係由習近平話事，咁而且佢係可以干預政府運作，仲可以自訂憲法，咁所以你哋係冇可能實現真正嘅民主㗎，碌柒。
I'm a lawyer. In my capacity as a lawyer, I can give you a long list of things that you cannot do regarding the monarchy here in Britain.
I'm not debating that. I'm saying that we have an elected government. We get to choose. We get to swap 6 prime ministers, God help us. But we get to pick. Everyone in this room who's a citizen gets to pick.
Listen, you end up with your mini budget, which
But
bankrupt the whole
that's
country.
an honest answer, Victor. But Victor, I admire that because that's an honest answer. Your answer is, it's a dictatorship that works. At least say that.
No.
No, you can't. You keep dodging. One minute you say,
I'm not
it's not a
dodging.
dictatorship. Then I show you it is. You say, but it's working. We've got growth.
Mehdi,
Pick one.
Mehdi, if that is your point, I will seriously urge you to do more homework about
Okay.
how the Chinese system works.
Okay, let's talk about the
Because-
Chinese system because I did a little bit of homework.
It's
Did you know that Xi Jinping put his name in the constitution? That's weird.
Well,
The leader of the country put his own name in the constitution while he's president. No one's done that since Mao. None of the other Chinese presidents, not Hu Jintao, not your old boss Deng Xiaoping, none of them did it. Did they? Or am I wrong?
It's wrong.
Who did it?
The Chinese constitution has been most frequently amended compared with any other country.
Am I wrong about what I just said with my little bit of
Mao's
homework?
name was put into the constitution.
That's what I said.
Deng's name was put into the
Not
constitution.
while he was president.
And Jiang Zemin's name was put into the constitution.
Not while they were sitting presidents, and you know that. Tell our crowd here, not while they were president. They didn't do it themselves.
According to my recollection, each of
Not
these
your
names
recollection.
were put into the constitution
Not while they were sitting
while
president.
the leaders were still alive.
Okay, so I'm right.
Mao,
Not while they were president. I love the little slip.
and-
No names on the ballot paper, 0 votes against you. You put your name in the Constitution. 6-year-olds are taught about Xi Jinping thought in primary school. That is not just a dictatorship, that is a cult of personality.
I don't think China believes in personal.
其實你又講啲乜嘢？I don't think China believe 乜柒咁樣啫。我理得你冰唔冰啊？事實就係習近平係行緊毛澤東嘅嗰條舊路啊嘛，搞緊個人崇拜啊嘛。咁如果唔係嘅話，咁正如嗰位主持人所講啦，點解你要嗰啲小朋友細個就要學習近平思想啦？咁一啲唔係個人崇拜乜嘢啊？
The Chinese system is such that once you orient the country in one direction, everyone follows the suit.
Do they follow or are they ordered to follow? They don't follow out of choice.
No, it's like a vehicle with 4 wheels. Here, you have 4 wheels aligned in different directions, opposing directions. In China, the 4 wheels of a car all lined up in one direction.
Well, they don't.
Going forward.
Well, they don't, Victor.
哇！大佬話呢個乜春嘢比喻嚟㗎？一架車嗰4個轆點有理由會同時喺4個方向走㗎？大佬你架車中國製造㗎？正確啲嚟講啊，應該係話英國嘅汽車，咁嗰班英國人係可以揀邊一個做佢司機。咁如果個司機揸得唔好嘅話，佢哋有權換咗佢。咁你反觀你哋中國嘅汽車咧，你哋個司機永遠就係得一個，無論佢橫衝直撞點都好，你嗰班乘客，你嗰班中國人就只能夠讚佢揸車技術好啊，明唔明啊
Let me give you an example. Former Foreign Minister Qin Gang was removed from his post and has not been seen in public since June 2023. A few months later, China's Defense Minister General Li Shangfu disappeared from public view for months, has now been expelled from the party, accused of corruption. That's at least 2 ministers that disappeared just in the last year.
This means China is really merciless in dealing with corruption of all kinds, even among the
Your
highest
foreign
ranks.
minister and defense minister. Imagine Antony Blinken and Lloyd Austin just disappeared tomorrow. We don't know where they are. We've never seen them again. That's not normal, Victor.
Listen, corruption is rampant in
How do we know
China.
they're corrupt? They just disappeared. Where's the trial?
Xinjiang was my good friend.
你個周大！
He is involved in corruption.
Where is he?
And he is dealt with very swiftly.
Where is he, Victor?
Regardless of
He's your good friend. You don't know where he is.
Regardless
Where
of
is
the
the former foreign minister
his
of China?
position.
This is not a hard question. We're not asking where Rehan's brother in the middle of Xinjiang is that you can dodge. Where is the former foreign minister of China who disappeared? And by the way, he wasn't accused of corruption. The spokesman came out and said he has health reasons. Then corruption came later, by the way. Where did he go, your friend?
That means there is a process, and the process
starts
not
with
just-
one lie that he's ill, and then the next lie is he's corrupt.
He may be ill. You never know.
I mean, he's probably ill after he's been in a Chinese
He
prison.
may be ill now.
Yeah,
You never know. But,
exactly.
But at least
Where is he?
Xinjiang lost his job
Victor, where is
because
he?
of his corruption.
Last question.
That's the point.
Where is he?
He's somewhere in China. You will never see him. He's among the 1.4 billion people.
我们怀念他们。
同埋我覺得最可怕嘅就係佢最後嗰一句話阿秦剛只不過係14億入邊嘅其中一個人。哇！大佬真係原來佢哋一直以嚟個 mindset 就真係14億減1等於14億咁樣嘅喎。咁正正因為一句説話，即係你班中國韭菜睇到啦，喺依家連中國官員都可以因為咁樣而被消失。咁我想問你班韭菜，喺你班小粉紅仲愛咩國啫？你哋喺一班中國官員眼中就只不過係14億分之一嘅咋。
My question is, as a dissident from Hong Kong, knowing that I cannot express freely in Hong Kong or in the UK without risking other people in trouble, I also know that you just now made claims about there's free speech in China, and it's possible to criticize the Chinese government just now again. Can you please demonstrate that free speech and tell us what are Xi Jinping's 2 worst mistakes in the past 5 years?
Great question.
If you can demonstrate to us that it's okay to criticize Xi Jinping, the Chinese government, and China, or even just say Xi Jinping kind of resembles Winnie the Pooh, would be good enough for me. Thank you.
Victor, do you want to take that question?
Well, thank you. I would say China need to make more take more prompt actions in dealing with the dramatic aging population in China and the dramatic demographic decline.
Do you think Xi Jinping's to blame for not being fast enough on aging?
No, I think the whole Chinese government, including the Central Committee, State Council, local government, need to take actions quickly to reverse that dramatic aging population problem and demographic.
We're not going to get a criticism. Why can't China rest on its own merits? Why the bullying and the threats? We're going to break you to pieces, Taiwan. You can't go back until you sign this document or that declaration. Why the insecurity? Second biggest economy in the world, major power. You sound so insecure.
China's security rests on the principle that there is only one China. And Taiwan is part of China, Tibet is part of China, and Xinjiang is part of China. Period.
And even if the people there don't want to be part of it, you don't give a damn.
The majority of the people live happily as Chinese
How do we know?
citizens.
Did you do a vote? Victor, before we finish, I have one question for you. We're in the UK. We're in Conway Hall, historic free speech society. Could we do a show like this? Could I interview you like this? Could Rehan come be on a panel like this in Beijing, in, say, the Beijing International Convention Center? Could we do a show like this? Audience members freely ask questions. You take questions from everyone. No one's vetted. No one's threatened. Could we do this in Beijing?
Mehdi, if you ask me to line up all the support, you will do that. Really, I can assure you that.
A show where every audience member gets to speak freely. No one turns up at their house afterwards.
For many European countries, you do not need a visa to go to China. Pick up your luggage,
No, I'm not
buy
asking,
a ticket.
I'm not asking
fly to
foreigners.
Beijing.
Victor, I'm not asking foreigners to come. I'm saying could a Chinese audience turn up and ask whatever they want, criticize Xi Jinping, criticize the government, ask you questions, talk about Uyghurs. Could you do it in Beijing?
Mehdi, in China, don't criticize our president.
So we couldn't do this.
Unless you
Well, I'm
have
glad you
a
answered the
very
question.
positive, constructive proposal to make.
From the horse's mouth. Don't criticize unless it's positive.
Criticism is not the only goal. Criticism with constructive purposes
is a goal.
Will be a better free speech.
Free speech is a goal we cherish on this show. I'm glad to have offered you a platform for free speech. I wish you could offer me one back. Victor Gao, thank you for your time.
咁我講今日進入先，咁非常感謝咁多位觀眾咁有耐性睇到一度啦，即係我都知我條片係比較長些少噶啦，咁之但係你頭先都見到啦，就係呢一段影片裏邊，喂真係好多句説話都係精華嚟噶嘛，即係不斷揭開中共嘅嗰啲遮醜布，揭發佢哋背後嘅一面，咁所以正因為咁啊，咁我就會想播長啲啦，等咁多位香港人又好，甚至係台灣人嗱，特別係台灣人，真係要好好聽下呢一段嘅訪談，聽下究竟中共點樣去睇你哋台灣呢？嗱，頭先你哋都聽到啦，即係原來中國點樣對台灣人㗎？只要你唔承認中國嘅話，他日當佢侵佔台灣嘅時候，佢係唔會當你係本地居民，即係會踢走你班台灣人啦。咁所以有希望透過一段嘅訪談節目，甚至係作為香港人嘅一啲經歷能夠話俾咁多人聽你唔好見到中國表面同你打交道，甚至乎你覺得中國嘅衣食住行乜嘢都好，跟住就當正佢係朋友咁樣。咁之但係你班台灣人同我好好記住，中共永遠係你嘅敵人，絕對唔係你嘅朋友，唔好咁天真啦 ，OK？ 咁我最後啦，今次有呢一件事又點睇咧？咁有興趣觀眾嘅不妨喺下邊同大家分享啦。咁我咁多一句，你要將條片嘅 like、share 同 subscribe 咗冇位嘅頭鐘仔，下載新聞搶先收睇，拜拜。喂，薯條，你話你真係突然間上咗嚟做乜嘢啊？咩事啊？你個薯條寶寶，你話你真係都有嚟啊？係咪啊？做咩事？你上去。係啦，喺度啦，喺度啊，係啦，坐低，sit，坐低，你得㗎啦，你個薯條，你真係，而家你嚟玩嘢啊？哎呦，係薯餅你又嚟啊？係咪啊？哎呦，做咩啊你兩個？哎呦，做咩事？薯餅無啦啦嚟喎，都講俾你啊喂！咩事啊你哋啊？好冇？你同薯餅玩好冇啊？薯餅想同你玩啊，可以同佢玩啦好冇啊？佢特登過嚟揾你啊，知唔知啊？去同佢玩啦！你話你冇得救㗎你啊！人哋咁好機會俾你同佢玩啊！人哋女仔都已經咁主動㗎啦，你依家仲係傻下咁都有嘅？傻屌係咪啊？係啊，話你傻屌啊！抵佢溝唔到女真係，冇啦，溝唔到女㗎你，係啊， 你唔好喺度撞我隻腳啊！警告你啊！
如果你也想成为下一位爆红创作者，请打开下方资讯栏链接，一起来投稿吧。